Just a Guy, the show about by and for struggling storytellers. I'm your host, Not Just a Guy, the guy, Garrett Briones, joined by not just a co-host, the co-host, Emily Briones.
I'm back, baby.
She's back.
I'm back.
She's back. We're back, folks.
We're so back.
New Not Just a Guy. Very sleepy, tired, Not Just a Guy coming off of holiday.
It's the EP Time holiday special.
Yeah, it's coming off being in town, being out of town, going right back into work.
Eating your weight and yams.
Eating a lot of food. I'm personally at the end of a very just jam-packed few days, like about 5 to be precise, and I finally get a rest, and then Emily has to go back to work.
And I'm going into the
now she has to go
corporate hoopla.
Yes.
I'm already tired just thinking about it.
So if we sound a little like we're like this, no, we do want to do this. We are just tired. We're at the end of it.
It's the EP Time holiday special.
So we'll see. You know, we're not gonna have the stopwatch out. You know, We're just when we're done talking, we're done talking.
Might be a shorty. Might be a
shorty like a melody. You know, I don't think either one of us has anything crazy going on storyteller wise. You know, still just I'm still on a writing break. Although tomorrow I'm gonna try and crack the story or start cracking and crack open a notebook and or some sheets of paper and start figuring out my next writing project. I'm going to take an audio drama break. I already pretty much know what I have to write for my next set of audio drama stuff, so taking a break, you know, it's like I've been seeing a girl, but it's like, you know, we want to explore options, so I'm saying in this scenario, the audio drama, you know, I've been seeing, we've gone out on we've gone on a few dates, we've been going steady, but, you know, we're gonna slow things down.
But there's a hot new Betty who just moved in.
You know, it's like, I gotta, you know, I've been hanging out with Betty Cooper. Now it's time to go hang out with Veronica.
Last name.
What's Veronica's?
I want to say Veronica Mars, but that's not.
No, that's a whole
that's
different Veronica.
Yeah.
It's because her dad is Mr. It's not Lodge. Is it Lodge? Veronica Lodge?
Lodge.
Yeah, because he's Mr. Lodge, and then he in the TV show Riverdale, he and Archie have a boxing match, and it's like, who would sanction a boxing match between like
a minor?
the mayor and the minor?
Who wants to fight a child?
I'm gonna fight. I'm writing that script. The mayor and the minor.
Oh God.
All that to say, I as much as I love my audio dramas, they are my creative buoy, a term we have coined on this show. I want to get back to writing film stuff, and so I don't know what I'm gonna write, but I'm gonna write something, and it will be as long as it needs to be. But that's, you know, usually we have like a little update, but, you know, things are just going.
That's it.
You know,
that's the update.
That's pretty much it. I mean, we don't really have
scribbling
much.
is planned for tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll keep updated on that, how that's going. Might be dipping my toe back into, I mean, not that I haven't, it's not been like 5,000 years since I wrote like a short thing, or I should not even gonna say short, but just a film thing, because like I said, I don't know what I'm writing. I don't know if it's a short film. I don't know, will I write my first feature? I don't know. I don't know. I've been thinking, I have an idea. I have two ideas. One is, I'll give a little tease for both of them. One is a modernization of a certain genre, bringing tropes and storytelling ideas of that genre into modern day, and it's inspired by a film of someone we're going to talk about here in a second.
Is it Hamnet?
No, I haven't seen Hamnet yet.
I haven't either, but I finally saw the trailer for it, and I was actually shocked to see that was, like, I knew it was real. I knew you weren't lying about it, but it just didn't seem like it would be a real
It's got Paul Mescal.
No, well, yeah, but I just was watching it. I think it was after we saw Wicked for good, and we were in the lobby, and I think it was playing on, like, one of the TVs or something, and it really wigged me out, because I was like, oh, it's, dang it, what's the one that's coming out with Odysseus, the Odyssey.
Oh, the Odyssey, yeah.
And I thought it was that at first, because it just seemed like it was just like, oh, maybe it's like a new trailer for it since it's later, I get. But then it was like, Hamnet in theaters, and I'm like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah. Also,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. So not Hamnet.
No. I have ideas. Mainly, I've had this idea for a few years now, but it's just recently I've been talking to friend of the show, Campbell Russell Troutman, about it and like why I wanted to do it. And so that's one thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a series of shorts. I don't know if it's a feature. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like an anthology thing. I don't know. I'm figuring it out. And then the other one is presumably it would be a micro budget. It'd be a way to do a micro budget feature. And it is a genre that I'm a fan of. Again, to punt a little bit, we will again more on this genre in a second here. It's just a genre. It's a genre. It's playing in a genre I love, and I've been a fan of movies in this genre. I've been a fan of books in this genre. Any TV episode that does a little bit of a thing to it. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. And so now I'll stop being vague, and I will talk about what's today's topic, which you might have looked at the episode title and wondered, what is this? This show they don't talk about movies and stuff. Like we've dipped our toe in. And this, I wouldn't even say this episode is like, we're not talking about the movies themselves.
It's not a, yeah.
The episode title, as you will see, maybe it won't be, maybe we'll cut this if I become a better
This has already definitely gone way too long.
But it is Benoit Blanc and our progression and how he relates to our progression as storytellers, and or Benoit Blanc and how his films relate to that. And what am I talking about? Well, folks, a couple weeks ago, Benoit Blanc, a couple episodes ago, we talked about wanting to see the film Wake Up Dead Man, a Benoit Blanc mystery. I'm not calling it a Knives Out mystery. Like, that's the SEO thing. I don't like that. But, and I mean, the movie, they aren't called that.
We know what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those SEO things where they it has to be a blank, a franchise story, whatever. I don't begrudge the marketing.
Yeah.
We talked about wanting to see that in theaters because we were mostly talking about streaming and like how bummed us out that that there's this like hard line where like Netflix only wants to release things in a certain window, which I will say, as much as I want to see the movies in the theaters, it's also their prerogative. They can do whatever they want. Like they are the ones funding these movies. They are the ones producing them.
Big Flicks is in charge.
I mean, yeah, as far as like distributing it, it's like they are. You can't begrudge them. It is. No. It just sucks. It's it's like,
definitely just something that's untapped. And I feel like people would.
If you're someone who
really
loves the theatrical experience and or you love physical media, it is unfortunate to see that they are kind of picky and choosy about those.
Yeah.
Although it is heartening to hear that there was news that Guillermo del Toro has already confirmed that like his Frankenstein movie is going to be on physical media.
Good.
Like it will be getting a Blu-ray release.
He's an old soul, so I think it makes sense.
Like, and he has very much set up shop at Netflix, but he also his movies are still getting theatrically released, obviously select theaters.
Yeah.
But he's still fighting the good fight. And I even actually listened to something with Ryan Johnson where he kind of it sounded like he is trying to get these two movies that have been on Netflix released.
Oh, cool.
And so Ryan Johnson just released Wake Up Dead Man. We actually had the opportunity, in that episode we spoke about how we really wanted to see Wake Up Dead Man in a theater. We were able to.
We did it.
We did it.
We did the dang thing.
We had to sit front row because the theater was actually packed. The showing was packed.
It was packed, and I will say one of the weirdest but coolest theaters I've been in because the last time I've ever had to. Well, okay, so for starters, nobody scanned our ticket.
Yeah, we just kind of walked in. I felt like I was doing something bad.
It felt really weird. It felt like
sometimes it's good to be bad.
But like it feels like I know you'll know what I'm talking about, but for people who don't know, like Amazon Fresh stores, they have like their whole thing is like, well, you can just walk in and put stuff in your cart and walk out because it's all hooked up to your account and stuff. But that's like that. I felt like that was like the equivalent. Like the movie theater equivalent of like an Amazon Fresh store. Like you just kind of walked in and somehow they knew you just had your ticket.
Yeah.
Like it was very weird, but it was a cool little theater. And like the way that you entered the actual theater was so weird because the only time I've ever.
I felt like I walked into a restaurant.
That's what, yeah. But like the last time that I walked in through the back of a theater, like for context, you instead of entering screen side, you entered like behind, like as if you were going from like the top seats going down. It was very weird. The last time I entered a movie theater like that, I was sneaking in to see Unfriended when I was 16 and I snuck into the thing. I was sometimes it's good to be bad, but that like it was a cool theater though, and despite having neck breaker seats, they actually had like very nice like reclining seats.
So it kind of evened out.
Yeah.
It will be nice to watch it again. I am for sure going to rewatch it when it comes onto Netflix, so I can also watch it on a fully horizontal
Yeah.
plane and not at a diagonal
Yeah.
plane.
And we had a good theater too.
Yeah, no, we had a great
A
crowd.
jovial crowd, if you will.
Only one guy's phone went off and kept continuing to go off.
And you know what's crazy though?
Yeah.
His ringtone weirdly fit the
Yeah,
movie.
I
took me
thought
a
it
minute.
was in the movie
I did
for
too.
a second.
It took me a minute to realize, like, oh, that's somebody's
Yeah, it's
phone
behind
going
me.
off. Yeah.
But
Which,
you know, we're not really talking about the movie,
Oh,
but
no.
I will just say I love it. I thought it was great.
Same.
I love these Benoit Blanc mysteries. I love Ryan Johnson. He's a very big inspiration. I've been listening to some new recent interviews of his. I love listening to him talk about film and storytelling. And yeah, I'm a fanboy. My friend of the show, Julian, makes fun of me all the time.
Julian.
You know, I'm a big fan of the guy. He really does inspire me. And I was just thinking about, you know, this is a new franchise, like it's a new intellectual property that has now spanned, you know, 6 years, 3 movies. I kind of just thought about like what I wanted to talk about today, because you know sometimes it is. I'll be honest, it's a little hard to come up with ideas, especially when we're just kind of, you know, we don't have any crazy developments going on like as storytellers right now. Like, you know, we're just, you know, you're doing your job, and in your spare time you're working on Crusades, and I've been writing a bunch of Crusades and Crusades' sister series. I've been doing a lot of that, but there's nothing groundbreaking. You know, we haven't started production, you know, on the next volume or anything like that. So, but what I was thinking, I wrote a Letterboxd little, not review. Sometimes I don't really write things on Letterboxd.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really write like things on Letterboxd. Even like usually I usually just use it as literally what it is, a diary. Like it says it as a diary, just to know what I've logged, and
Like a tracker,
you know, like
almost.
and I never want, and if anybody wants my letterbox, joke's on you. You gotta find it. I'm not gonna tag it. You gotta find it. Be a Benoit Blanc and follow the clues.
A murder.
You gotta find it. But I was thinking, like I just wrote something just because I realized I was like, man, it's been crazy to see like all 3 of these movies, the varying ways I've seen them, what they mean to me, and I was just kind of waxing poetic on that. It kind of made me think, and I kind of like gave a little blurb of how I've changed, but I really wanted to kind of go into it and also speak to you about it. So we're going to use the 3 Knives Out films to look at 3 little points in our life: the past, the further past, the past, and the now, and maybe how it could kind of inform the future. So the first Knives Out film came out in 2019. Came out theatrically, was released. You know, Lionsgate was, you know, they helped get it out there.
Yes.
And both of us were in film school. I want you. I just want to, like, because all 3 films November of each year.
Oh, they have.
Where were you at as a storyteller? I mean, you don't have to answer right now if you want to think about it for a second. Like what? Because for me, I could say exactly where I was. Like, you know, November 2019. As I said in my letterbox, I was a single man. That doesn't really relate to all.
It matters.
Obviously, the biggest development that's happened is that we are married now.
Well, yeah.
We went from not being together to now we're married. That's like obviously. Let's get that. That's the most obvious thing. Let's get that out of the way because we're mostly relating it to us as storytellers.
They're so in love.
Yes. But you know, that was a time when it was like I would have been I think we were a junior. No, at that point I would have been junior.
Are you sure?
Yes, because the end of junior year was COVID.
You're
COVID was
right.
2 months after.
You're right.
Or like the last 2 months of our junior year were on Zoom, and our entirety was on that. So this was a pre-COVID world. Yes, I'm right.
No,
I'm not even trying to say that in a mean way.
No, because the math
yeah.
wasn't mathing in my head.
That so at that time it was like, you know, film school was still very weird. It was still very, you know, even though I was almost had been in it for 2 years at that point. I feel like I can confidently say like I still didn't know what I was as a filmmaker. That was before I took a directing 1 class. At that point, I very much just didn't feel sure of myself. Like I had written, it was at that point where it's like people kept telling me like, you're really good at this and this. And it's like, cool, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what my strengths are. I don't know what my weaknesses are, which is even kind of scarier because you don't know if you're playing to those.
Yeah.
And I can say like, I was having fun. Like that, I remember that time specifically as like I was having fun with friends, and I was figuring stuff out, and like I had a great TV class at that time, like live, like learning live TV studio stuff, and I feel like I was really coming out of my shell in that class progressively over those weeks. But I would say as a storyteller, I had no clue like what I was doing,
Right.
and I was just kind of barely even almost 2 years into film school. I was still just feeling comfortable in my skin, I guess. There, like
Yeah.
while I felt like as a person I was getting out there more and trying things and getting to know people, I didn't yet have any clue as to like what I was as a storyteller, and I wasn't making stuff. Like that's something I still really
Well,
regret,
yeah.
especially knowing like, hey, November 2019, Garrett, you only got a few more
Hey,
months on this
buddy.
campus, and then something's gonna happen.
You have no idea what's
Yeah,
gonna hit you.
things are going to change. So
Yeah.
I would say it's like I felt like as a person I was starting to get out there more, but I think at that point in time I really was like after over. Even though my freshman year was a little shorter
Oh,
than
yeah.
most, my freshman year, even though I had like a 2 quarter freshman year and 3 quarter sophomore year under my belt, it's like I still at that point was just like, what am I supposed to
Yeah.
be? Like what am I? Am I a writer director? Do I need to start like directing other people? Like
Yeah.
do I need to direct other people's scripts? Like what am I?
Yeah.
So like that's where I think I was.
I always forget that you didn't join from day one for
Yeah, I did
freshman
one
year.
less quarter than
You're so
everybody.
smart.
I mean,
You're so cool.
I mean,
Cool guy.
where were you in November 2019 as a junior in film school?
I honestly have no idea. I'm. I mean, my memory is not great.
I'm not saying like you don't have to give like details.
Well,
I'm
no,
just
but
saying,
like even then, it's like I'm
as
trying.
you can even make it more broad.
No,
like,
I know, like,
as a
but
film school student, where did you find
I'm,
yourself?
I don't know. Like I'm like genuinely like trying. I can't remember. Like I'm trying to place myself somewhat of like what was happening, and the only thing that I can think of is like I think I was just trying to work mainly, cause like shout out Lauren, best teacher ever. Her biggest play was like just do stuff, like not necessarily pertaining to like find something to edit, but like do things within the editorial sphere. So like I don't know if they remember this or not, but I was doing like cataloging, which is the worst. Well, okay, I can't even say it's bad because I literally do it for my job, but it doesn't take nearly as long. But I picked up like an odd job for this dude who needed cataloging and like tagging for I guess it was stock footage. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but it was just like some random, or no, I think it was for stock footage. So like he gave me like 1,000 clips or like 5,000, like something crazy, and you'd essentially like watch it and then put like tags. So like if it was like a frog in the rainforest, it was like amphibian, rainforest, rain, greenery, woods, forest. Like you would just like as many tags, and then you'd have to organize and all this stuff. So it was a whole thing, but like I was getting paid to do it, so I was like, oh cool, work, like things that I could do. And I actually recruited Campbell and Chris to help me because it was just simply too much. And I'm pretty sure like he was expecting it to be done like that week. So literally like during like some of our classes, I was like, just do these. They don't have to be cool. Like just do it. But I genuinely, the only thing that I think I was doing was just trying to like hustle, I guess. Because I think at that point I already knew editing was going to be my shtick, because I found out very early on that like I really like to edit. I think I finalized my like major, but for us emphasis, I think like mid sophomore year, because I was like, this is it, like this is cool. And then like also, because for those who don't know, I originally went in for acting, found out, wow, these people are way better than you, and had a teacher be so brutally honest with me that it like made me just want to do literally anything but. I literally had a teacher tell me, like, it's all good. Like, you're great. Also, though, you're too short, and the odds of you getting casted, like, my proportions would make it extremely hard. I'm doing air quotes. Extremely hard to be casted in things. And I'm like, I'm 5'4".
Yeah.
Like, I think that's pretty average, but I don't know. Maybe it was her trying to be nice and a nice way to call me ugly. I don't know. Whatever.
No.
But I have no idea. It was like the weirdest interaction I've had. Or I was just bad at acting. I don't really know. But I was pretty solidified in editing by like mid sophomore year, and then I think just trying to like work, and like I think the only time I was on a set was like freshman year, so that like solidified for me. I'm like, I don't really need to be on a set, and even though I was just like a PA, it was fun, but like it wasn't really anything to write home about, and it wasn't anything that was like it didn't spark joy. It didn't feel home-y. So once I kind of got into the editing stuff, but you know what, actually? I was here. I was at home a lot. Because that was also the year that I decided to move back home because I couldn't find a roommate.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be smarter to just commute, which it was not.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, me and Cam, we ended up rooming together. I think like midway, right before the pandemic. Yeah, something like that. But I don't know. It just ended up being like a whole thing. But it was like trying to, I guess, just stay afloat. Because I think we were so close to graduating. And I had a couple of things under my belt in terms of like, I pulled this random internship that I definitely shouldn't have gotten. Because So the internship was through a foundation, Para los Niños. It's some foundation specifically for Los Angeles residents, who I'm 99% sure you're supposed to be like in some way, shape, or form Hispanic in order to benefit things from this foundation. So you could only imagine my surprise pulling up to like this really cool orientation, being the token white chick in the room, and being severely confused as to why I was there. So I definitely think something had happened where I definitely shouldn't have been there, but that it's neither here nor there, and it happened, and I got an internship out of it. But that wasn't even for editing. It was like for social media management, which was weird, and that was its own thing. But I think I just finished that out, and then I was supposed to be on track talking to somebody at Paramount, like just to have a conversation, but obviously it didn't fall through, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then I just ended up focusing on work. So it wasn't a lot. It was not a lot.
Yeah.
It's very, from what I remember, if my timelines are correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because, November 2019 was when Knives Out came out. I was very much looking forward to it because I was a big fan of Ryan Johnson's already at that point.
And I had never heard of it.
Yeah, and, I already had a lot of Chris Evans stock. I had those for years. And I saw an early screening of that, and I just remember feeling energized. I recorded a video on my Instagram story talking about how much I loved it. Because like I said earlier, I love the mystery, mystery genre. Whodunit. I love whodunits. I haven't seen and read them all. I want to see and read more, but And Then There Were None was one of my favorite books of all time. I read it in middle school, I want to say middle school, high school. Probably read it earlier than I should have been reading it. A book about people brutally being murdered one by one. And then I read it again. I want to say I actually got, I can't remember. I want to say it was around, honestly, I want to say I got it around the time the first Downton Abbey movie came out. And I only remember that because my mom and I visited my aunt, and they went to go see that, and I went to go see something else while they watched that together. Because I'd never seen the show.
You had no interest,
if I maybe had watched the show, maybe I would have, but I've never watched the show. And so my movie finished before this. I can't remember even what my movie was. My movie ended before theirs, and so I was just like, okay. And it was in this big mall, and so I walked into bookstore, and I was like, oh, they have, and then there was none. And then there were none, and then there was, and then there were none, and I was like, "Oh, I read this book years ago, and I had known about the Family Guy episode, and then there were fewer. Maybe my
Oh.
favorite episode of Family Guy.
Is that what that's based off of?
Yeah,
That's
it's the same idea.
I thought
yeah.
they were doing it because of Clue,
No, it's I mean,
but like
yeah, that's
obviously
one.
with less of the
Yeah.
stuff.
I think it was honestly when we were living in our apartment that I was like, oh, I want to reread this, and I read it all again. Although that could have been a couple. Within like the last 5 years, I've reread it.
I'm pretty sure that was it because I think that's also around the time that you started writing the whodunit.
I haven't. Oh yeah. There was one I was working on. Yes,
Yeah.
that will.
Or a version.
Yeah,
of one.
I'm taking the bones of that for something. And so yeah, and that all to say, like, I was very excited for that in that genre, and that film just found me in an interesting time as a storyteller, and really energized me and showed me like, oh, you can take these genres and you can play with them, you can break them and rebuild them, you can subvert them, you can try different ideas. And now I want to jump us forward to 3 years later, November 2022. Glass Onion's coming out. A Glass Onion. It is the first of two that is part of the Netflix deal. Mm-hmm. Even then, like I feel like during the pandemic, when there was a lot of free time, I was keeping up with all the news and keeping up with the state of the industry and how. What's up?
Sorry.
Oh, and it was just like interesting to follow something like that where there was like a I don't want to say it was a full scale bidding war, but it was like. That was an interesting thing to see of like, oh, like they had such great success with Knives Out that people want this, and to see like the deal that they got, and stuff like that. Like it taught me more of the business side of things, and like it did show like the power of the streamers, and especially obviously Netflix, who ultimately had the ability to win out in that bidding war, and also, they put up the deal is out there. It's It's 450 million.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And like this idea that it was even kind of in a way inspiring to me, in the sense of like, yes, they made this deal with Netflix to make those two, but they still retain the rights. Like Rian Johnson, Ron Bergman, and the whole T Street production team, that being their production company, they still own all the intellectual property. Like they can go make two Knives Out movies anywhere. And I was actually listening to Rian Johnson talk about like, it was even in the deal that he didn't have to make them back to back if he didn't want to. He said, I could have gone and made a whole other movie somewhere else if I wanted to. He felt so energized. And again, Glass Onion, we managed to see that one in theaters. Mm-hmm. We saw that at a really nice AMC. Like it was a brand spanking new one.
Mm-hmm. That was so cool.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because you'll see some parallels here in a bit. It was after a Thanksgiving. We got back, and that one was it was after because we both got back in town, and we went and saw it, and it was we had a great crowd. It was a big theater, and it was full of just people that were hungry to see it on the big screen. Again, that was another fun one. Re-energized me. And I kind of needed that re-energizing, because now if we're looking at where we were at that point in time, we had been living together. We were,
we were young, hungry, and broke.
Yeah, and
with a dog.
I needed that movie in a way, just because, like, obviously it was a big fun thing.
Yeah.
I was at the time. Obviously, we were graduated from film school. At that point, we had been graduated for over a year. Yeah. And I was working at our film school as one of the equipment center associates, driving to the campus and then driving to a different campus is a whole thing. I'm not getting into it on here. And that was around the time of the great pivot that Johnny Rome, friend of the show, future guest, helped facilitate, which was, I was making no headway on making short films. I felt so incredibly lost at a point where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then Johnny, very, very, I appreciate them kind of stepping in and seeing that I was lost and saying, well, why don't you do an audio drama? And that was something I was like, what? And because I had never thought of that or considered that or ever even just like gave that the time of day. and they were just like, yeah, it's this. I was thinking about doing one. Here's all the research I had done so far.
Yeah.
And so I at that time, I had started working on, so around the time the movie had come out, I had started pivoting to that medium. I remember just even at the time it like really opening my eyes to like, obviously film is my end all be all, but there are other avenues I can explore in the
Yeah.
meantime, and that could maybe help me, get these stories out, but also just kind of continue to grow. And so like that, thinking back to then, like that's the biggest thing where like, whereas I talked about in 2019, I didn't know like what my strengths and weaknesses are, or like what I was doing. By that point, really felt like, okay, this is what I like to do. These are the kind of stories I like to tell. These are the kind of characters I
Yeah.
like to forefront. These are the kind of stories I like. And those very episodes I was writing are what we're currently producing and putting together now. And it's interesting to see like how they've evolved. They've evolved and changed a lot. But I just remember like just feeling so excited and knowing like these are all very different stories. But like even then I could tell like they all relate in a way. It's a lot of even I was a little younger. I was 23 at the time, but I was like, these are the stories of young people.
Yeah.
Even the characters like I portray at the time, they were older than me when I first was conceiving them. They were older than me, and now in the moment, as I've gone on to portray them and continue to write some of them, I'm now older than a few
Yeah.
of them, or some of them are still older than me. But I realized like, oh, what appeals to me is obviously trying to like write to what I know, but it's like I felt like at the time what I was writing to was I was writing stories about young people growing up in worlds where the older people didn't want to cede control. Like that's a big thing of Crusades of the Nexus. I mean, that even as I've continued to write it and write its sister series, is like that is a big thing, is like all the protagonists, even as I get older and as I get older than the characters I will be portraying in Crusades of the Nexus, they are all younger characters, and that is by design. I don't think there will never be a Crusades of the Nexus protagonist that's like over the age of 30.
Yeah.
Because that's really not what the story.
Well, it wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, it could.
Not that it wouldn't. It
it's
would
just
just be harder to make it work.
Well, yeah. I mean, I choose for them to be young.
Yeah.
There's like, I'm not saying like me putting on a voice or anything like that.
Well, no, but it's a generational thing.
Yeah,
that
like
has
that's
a
the
bigger
whole. The
impact,
story is
you
all
know?
very generational, and you will see how that relates to our antagonists. Every episode obviously has its own antagonistic force, but there are. But even then, I could see like, I felt like I had even that everything leading up to that point in the year, like I could feel like I felt weathered. I felt like, after going to college on a pandemic and then working so I could move back down to LA, and then, working, all these crazy hours going through traffic and commutes and stuff. It's like, I do think it's like, I knew what I wanted my stories to be. And my stories are still, a lot of them are that. Even things not related to Crusades of the Nexus, the other things I want to tell are, it's just this idea of like the institutions and the people that run them, and how they are holding back the people that could be pushing things forward.
Right.
So I feel like at that point, whereas I was kind of like, I felt so far away from the film industry, even though I was working at a film school, I still felt so far from the industry. I feel like I finally started to figure out like what my place as a storyteller was.
Yeah.
So where would you say you were around that time? I mean, you were working
And severely depressed because the actual job itself was the very demeaning and taxing job.
Because at that point you were in entertainment marketing.
Yeah. Because that was my first quote unquote real job, like post college. That wasn't like freelancing or like helping somebody out on something.
Yeah.
But that was a fun time. Cause I mean it was just a lot, and I remember doing, funnily enough, kind of the same thing of like questioning, like, well, not in the same thing of like feeling like you aren't a part of the industry, because technically I was, but I was, if you look at the industry like a big tree, I was like a crazy like branch that is like so far from the trunk, even though it was movie trailers and it was TV stuff. Like theoretically, I was in the industry, but where I was at in that point, I couldn't have been farther.
Yeah.
The place had its own issues and its own stuff that just wasn't cool, and there was a lot of other stuff that wasn't awesome, but I remember at a certain point, this was when it was me, you, and Jack, and I remember coming home and you and Jack were in the kitchen, and I just like sat and like laid down on the ground and was just like severely questioning, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And like I didn't know, because like we were told nothing but like, oh, you're gonna pay your dues and you're gonna climb this ladder and you're gonna try and talk to all these people and make sure that they like you so you can move up and do these things and and follow the totem pole. Like that's what, even like when you not even going to college, like that's just all you would hear about.
Yeah.
And then like also the gimmick of it's about who you know, which it really is, but like the in my head I'm like, okay, yeah, but at what point does it stop becoming grunt work to pay your dues and you start seeing some actual progress? So in a combination of just not being in a great work environment, it also didn't help of just like having it be so honed in on like, here's your grunt work and earn your place, to the point where it's making you question if that's my place to be in. So that was a weird year of like, is this something I want to do? Like, how do I get out of this cycle? Like, can I even get out of this cycle? Like, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And there were so many things in my head of like, okay, well, if not this, then what?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was also like, well, you can't go back and do something different in school because that's too much money and you don't have the time to go and do schooling, even though at this point I'm pretty sure everything was basically online. But yeah, that was for me a big time of just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, well, I'm just gonna keep on keeping on and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it ended up working out, even though it was a bit rough, but it still worked. And then we went and saw Glass Onion before. I think it was actually way before we moved in together. But I remember watching the first Knives Out.
Yeah.
I think it was after I finished a Universal shift, and I wanted to watch it so badly, but I was like half asleep or something. So, but then we watched it again. So all the parts that I was hazy on, I remember now. But I remembered being like, I'm definitely the kind of person where I get excited when people get excited about things, and especially because like I love movies. I loved going to the movies. I have a whole memory box full of movie stubs when they used to print them out. My earliest one is Finding Nemo as a flex, but I was never like super into it. And I feel like us dating made me a movie person, because seeing how excited you got about stuff, I was like, oh yeah, heck yeah, this is cool. Like, yeah, we're gonna go. Okay, yeah, like we're going to the movies. Like, and like, granted, I'm not great with like actor names, director names. I'll look at a dude and be like, oh, that guy's got stark white hair. That's so crazy. You're like, that's James Gunn. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I don't know these things as well as you do. So it's like, but hearing, you know, how stoked you get about stuff, it makes me excited. Yeah. So that's why, like, it's not to say like I didn't want to go see it, because I did obviously want to go and see Glass Onion, but like I think just like the combination of like we were in such a weird spot at the
Yeah.
apartment, and then like you were just really excited, and then
Yeah.
like the brand new theater made it like even better of like
Yeah.
this seat's only been sat in like 4 times. Like it was cool. It was nice.
No.
And it did exactly what it was supposed to do for being the movies of taking you somewhere else for 2 hours. So
Yeah, no,
it was cool.
I agree with that. And you know, again, going 3 years from there to now, obviously we saw Wake Up Dead Man.
Wow, what a change.
Yeah, we're married. You know, again, it's like, I know, you know, we went and saw the movie, we enjoyed it, we had a great time. Happy that we could see it in the theater. I was going to be really, really upset. You know, at the end of the day, I'm just happy the movie exists, and you know, Ryan Johnson got to tell the story he wanted to tell with the people he wanted to tell it with, and you know, I wanted to see it no matter what. But I am very happy, you know, not to get all uppity, hoity-toity, but the theatrical experience is very important to me. As a filmmaker, it is the thing I want the most.
It
Is for
matters.
people.
Yeah.
You know, I want my stories to get told no matter what. But the idea of people going to a theater one day to see my movies, or my movie, whatever, that means a lot to me. And so that's why I was like very much, you know, Ryan Johnson, like I said up top. He is a big inspiration. He's someone whose movies I love. I have like a bunch of Blu-rays that were in the, you know, in some videos that we've had when we used to do video. I have a bunch of steelbooks across, and a lot of them they're curated specifically to a lot of my favorite filmmakers, and he obviously has quite a few in there. I try to have 3 per people in this specific spot at least, and so I have Looper, I have Knives Out, which my steelbook is. I should maybe by the time you're hearing this, it should maybe be on the way. They did a reprint of the steelbook. Thank you, Lionsgate. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you again to friend of the show, Julian, for pointing that out, that it was getting a reprint. I appreciate you. Also, he pointed out that Tron Legacy was getting another reissue after I missed out on the first one, so that's going on the same shelf right around the same space as Knives Out.
This is the subtle time to ask to donate to the more shelves for the Briones Fund.
I mean, hey, if you want to support the Patreon, there'll be more information at the end of the show, but it's down in the description. All that to say, I actually kind of forgot what I was just saying, like, you know, he, in this curated selection, he is one of the filmmakers. You know, I have Looper, I have Knives Out, and then technically it's in a different section of the shelf. It's in the Star Wars cubby of the shelf, which is just, there's just one cubby that's all Star Wars. Last Jedi is on there.
Yeah.
People, I'm a big fan of that film. I don't care what anybody
They're all
says.
good.
No,
All Star Warses are goods.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I like them.
But that one means a lot to me. I think I may have said this on the show, but that movie so kind of like hit me in a way that I wasn't expecting. It was really making me think that I was trying to drive my friend Dylan and I back home because we saw the movie in a neighboring town, and I literally kind of just got us lost because I was just kind of zoned out. I was just like, because he was like, "Did you like it?" I was like, I didn't know how to describe how it made me feel, and I was just kind of, I got us lost for a little bit. Ended up on back roads, and we had to figure it out. Again, these movies, you know, specifically his movies in this series of Benoit Blanc Mysteries, find me again at a place where it's like, you could argue even now more than ever, I'm farther away from the industry, but I feel the most confident I have as a storyteller. I feel the most excited for like the stories I'm telling. You know, obviously, as you're doing the math, I've been working on Crusades now for 3 years, but you know, it's going. I have people that are working on it, that want to work on it, that are excited about it. We have planned. We're closer to beginning production on more of it. Yeah, you know, we're trying to make it a more well-oiled machine so that it doesn't take as long as we do more, which that's again a betting on myself thing. Is like, there is more. I've written a lot more.
There's so much.
Yeah, that's also kind of why I'm taking a break, so that we can, so I don't burn myself out on it. Although I'm still having fun. if I wanted to, I could have gone into the next volume of Crusades.
Oh, you'd write
I'm
a
choosing.
whole, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just choosing not to, because when I finish that volume begets a volume that is very important. Like, not just in the, obviously in the story of what I'm telling, but also, like, to me, it's very important. It's, in some ways, it's the volume I've been trying to get to, in a way. Like, I love all my stories. I'm not saying anything's lesser, but it's like this has been like, when I get to this, it's like a checkpoint.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get to it for 3 years now.
He's riding them faster than we can
Well,
make them.
I've created detours for myself. I've moved things around, and it's taken me almost 3 years. I've been thinking about stuff in that specific volume for 3 plus years now, and it's like I'm almost there. So it's like I'm almost like I'm taking a step back, because I'm like, oh man, I'm almost there. So I want to do other things, but it's like, we go and see this movie again, or we see this movie, and it's just like when I saw Glass Onion. It's just like when I saw Knives Out, where it's just like it reignited a passion in me. And and then obviously listening to these interviews, where it's like I am very much, in a way, like it's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pause Crusades. I'm gonna write some other stuff. I was already thinking that anyways, but I'm like, just the way it energized me, and the way some of the things I've heard in these interviews, it's just like, why not just write a feature? Why not just figure out some short films I can make with my friends? Because a lot of the way, Ryan Johnson works with his cousin Nathan Johnson, who does the music. He works with Steve Yedlin, who's his best friend, who's a cinematographer. It's like, even if I don't write features and I just write some shorts, it's like I want to get to making movies with my friends. Like, that's what
just do
it's something.
things.
Yeah, like Crusades, I am making it with my friends, but it's different. It is a lot more isolated. I want to make movies with my friends again. Like, that's something I miss. Like, that's something I had a lot of fun doing in film school. I wish I did more of in film school.
When I feel like too, we got robbed of that a little bit.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
I hate always like defaulting back to that. I'm like, well, it's so unfair and everything is taken.
Yeah.
It's like, but it is like, and I can also understand like people who also were going through high school, people who were going through big life events. Like, I think we're all fully aware that many of people lost out on a big life moment because of the pandemic. But like, to bring it back down to a little bit, I gotta get a little selfish with it, because I don't know that many people who had all their life events. So, but like, it is like, it sucks, because I mean, you only have so much time to do things that make the most sense to do them in, that they're gonna be probably the easiest to do them in that time frame. Then it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, it's a very slim margin of a number of people who have everything to make a movie at their disposal, pay next to nothing for it. Well, without tuition, but like in a traditional sense, pay basically nothing to make something and say, this is mine. I made this with a legit camera, crew, actors, this, that, the other, and have that be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, and with that, and we didn't get that. People had opportunities to do it, and people made decisions during that time, which, good on you. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. If you did it and it worked, so be it. It worked. That's awesome. Right on. And they were great. I would say almost everything that we saw in production workshop was great especially for what we were up against. I mean, even having like the floodgate of an audio drama being of like one of our classmates did something like it, and seeing just how open you can get with a world like that was insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a less sad way, it did also open a lot more creativity in people, I feel, too, of like, okay, well, we're stuck between a really bad and hard place. How can I climb out of this and still make the most of it? Because it's like, I think it was one of my teachers, but he made the comment of like, well, you're paying for it anyway, so you gotta find something to do with it. And it's like, Yeah, but you can only do so much without, I mean, we're big family people, and I think at that point, I think the only things that we really cared about was just making sure that our families were okay. We have a lot of younger people and elderly people and people with health stuff, so it was like one of those things where it was like, yeah, no, we should probably be careful about that, and didn't get a chance to maybe pull out the stops that others did during that time. But it is, I mean, it's just crazy. It's insane to do all that.
Where are you now as a storyteller? How have you progressed in the last 3 years?
I'm a wife now.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
As a storyteller,
that's a story of our life.
Where are you now? Where have you progressed in the last 3 years?
Making stuff for vertical content, so that's cool. And
is it more fulfilling?
In a way, because like I'm finally getting to do something that's a bit more narrative versus like, something funny, something to pass the time, something that is somewhat narrative, but it's got a much like looser structure to it. Like it's a strictly narrative structure that is a bit more quick, but like it works, and I can use that later on to say like, well, here's the stuff that I can do. I'm just in a different spot, but I mean, it's for sure scratching the itch.
Yeah.
Because it's making my brain work in a way that it hasn't had to do in a very long time. And it's also stuff that I've just never had to do, period. So it's at the very least a challenge, which is nice. Like not in like I can't do it way, but like this is an interesting thing to explore kind of way. So, and I'm doing it as a wife, and I'm doing it in a new way of doing things, and it's really cool because there's a lot of things that have happened that if you would have asked me like 5 years ago, I would have never guessed that it would have happened. Not to keep harping on it, but like it's insane that I'm somebody's wife. Like it's cool that I'm actually being able to call myself like a legit editor without having the imposter syndrome tied to it. So it's just a lot of cool stuff happening. And then like challengers guy, I hate that.
Josh O'Connor.
Thank you. I hate that I can't remember names, but like, and like he's cool. Seeing him up there. And then like getting a weird twinge of childhood for me with like Catholicism. No spoilers, but like I don't know, it's cool. I like it. And we went on a nice date. And that was nice.
I have to say I really liked what the movie had to say about storytellers and storytelling in general, and what we need it for, and what it does for us in our lives. That really resonated with me, as well as the overall religious aspects. I'm not getting into that on the show. All I can say is that I just very much related to what was going on and ideas in it.
Same.
From both sides of the aisle.
And it was done tastefully, too.
Yeah, that's what, and again, it was a very personal film to Rian Johnson. Again, it was another way it really spoke to me was just seeing that he took a very personal thing in his life, something that he has gone, he's gone on the record of saying he was a Christian. He no longer is. I thought that was very brave of him to share that and be open and honest about that outside of the movie. In the movie, obviously, you can see it in the movie, in the DNA of the movie, but I really respected him being open and honest about that, and bearing that to all of us, as viewers, and being, showing what it meant to him. And it just was inspiring, and it meant a lot to me in the sense of showing that, he could explore that topic and explore something so personal to him in a genre movie, in a murder mystery, because that's kind of like what I want to do. I want to play in genre. The Crusades of the Nexus is one big genre play. It's kind of everything, and I have explored a lot of things. I would say especially that the first go around is very, very personal, and like it's a lot of different things that I was feeling. Again, that's kind of why I wanted to use those three films as kind of like a way to tie this conversation together which I think has flowed very well. And I think that hopefully there's some stuff in there that, you listening to this can get from that. And even think about your own, how have you you don't have to just limit it to these last 6 years like we are because of the parameters of this conversation.
No, only keep it to the Knives Out trilogy.
We were using that as our structure, our guiding light. But even just think about that. And I wanted to do it in a way to try and celebrate the ways we've improved and, look at where we were from there to there. Obviously, we fell in love, we got married, like we had a whole thing. Like that's a big development that's led to a lot of great stuff already in our life. And it's cool to see like again, like, you said that you were just discovering your love of editing or it was around that time, obviously not exact dates, then you were getting to use those skills, but maybe not in a way that you wanted to. And now you're at a place where you are getting closer to what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody listening to this, I think you can do the same. It's like, even if you currently aren't in the place that you want to be now, think about where you were 6 years ago. Think about where you were 3 years ago. And just think about the progress you've made. Think about the improvements to yourself, to your life that you've made, that aren't necessarily just tied to your career. I can say like confidently, yeah, I feel so far away from the industry, but I've never felt better about myself as a storyteller. And I'm, on my own terms, I'm telling the stories I want to tell, and it's taking a while to get them told, but I know that the way they're going to be told is going to be 100% unapologetically me. Yeah. I don't have to do them through somebody, and that's really exciting. So I hope you can pull something from this conversation. I think we're both getting sleepy. So, folks, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Not Just A Guy. You can follow the show on the socials, TikTok and Instagram, the only ones we have, and that's at Not Just A Guy Pod. That is at Not Just A Guy Pod, POD. You can also support the show on Patreon. That is where you can get the podcast a couple days early. We're hoping to, down the road, have some exclusive kind of episodes and podcasts on there that anytime we have a guest, that those episodes will go up on there, fully uncut, unfiltered, everything, the full shebang, and then highlights will be featured on Not Just A Guy. So any guest episode we have, if you want the full podcast conversation with the guest, they will be on there. Have some guests lined up, just need to figure out scheduling stuff. And the Patreon will also be where you get, that will be the first place that Crusades of the Nexus lands before it gets to the public. But if you really want to support the show and support us as storytellers and support the storytellers that we work with, the Patreon is your one-stop shop for all of that. So that's going to do it. I have been your host, Not Just A Guy, the guy, Garrett Briones, joined by my co-host, Emily Briones.
I'll go to bed.
And we'll talk at you next time. This has been a Bachelor Class production, hosted by Garrett Briones, edited by Emily Cunningham, music provided by Stephen Cruz. For more information, follow us at Bachelor Class.